Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we are going to be discussing a controversial new decision from Elon Musk on remote work at Tesla. We've also got news on the Texas-made Model Y, Panasonic 4680 batteries, some pretty crazy news from GM on the Chevy Bolt, and I do have an announcement as well. Quick look at the markets, not a whole lot to discuss here. The Nasdaq today was down about 0.75%, Tesla trailing a bit, down 2.4% to close at $740.37. All right, before we get into the Tesla news, I do have a quick update here, and that is on ShareLoft. You may remember back on episode 1000, I announced ShareLoft, and I haven't really said a whole lot about it since then. That's just because while it's been in closed beta, we've been taking in the feedback, working super hard on this every single day, making a ton of improvements, and with those improvements, I'm extremely excited to announce that ShareLoft is now open for membership. Now, I hope you're all interested in this. I think you should be, and there is a bit of Tesla crossover here that I'll talk about, but if you couldn't care less, I do want to be respectful of that, and you can skip ahead to about 5 minutes in. So I don't want to rehash that announcement video. That'll be in the description if you did miss it. I just want to go through some important new things and share some more detail. But the goal here is basically just to bring this amazing community together, to give me a place to publish things that maybe aren't native to audio and video, have a place for you all to connect with me and to connect with each other, and really just to build the best investing community in the world. And this should be the very early stages of that process. So if you want to be a part of helping that come to fruition, membership is now open. It is $29 a month, and I'll just say right now, that doesn't mean anything is changing with Tesla Daily. The idea, as it kind of always has been for me, is really just to continue to add as much value as I can over time, and that will fully apply to this subscription. I'm going to work super hard to make sure that membership has a high ROI, just like I try to do and will keep trying to do every day with Tesla Daily. The more members that we have, the more cash flow we'll have, the more we'll be able to invest in adding new features that drive that value proposition up over time. So if you believe in me to be able to make this worthwhile, please vote with your capital. Please sign up. I don't ask for a lot. I really haven't asked for anything over 5 years that I've been doing Tesla Daily. I don't take any money from companies just to try to recruit you for whatever random brokerage or cryptocurrency, whatever. There's never even been an ad in the audio podcast. So if you value those principles, that is what ShareLoft is founded upon. That's what I'm asking for help to build. And I actually think it's a pretty decent product already. A couple of exciting things I want to mention here, and then we'll move on. One is something that I've never shared before, many people have asked for, and that is my long-term Tesla financial model. This is a highly detailed model, runs out to 2030, so you can get a feel for what I think Tesla's business is going to be worth, and you can also modify my assumptions with your own, and then hopefully we can talk about it on ShareLoft and make the model better. I'll also just have a pretty casual walkthrough video of my thoughts building the model, how to use it, and I think that'll give a pretty clear picture on why I'm so bullish on Tesla, but also some of the near-term concerns that I've kind of alluded to that Wall Street may be struggling with in their models. So obviously on screen here, I've cleared out the forecast, but you can get a feel for the model. I've got an extremely detailed breakdown of the automotive business. There are forecasts for Tesla Energy, for Tesla Insurance, for supercharging, robotaxis, some early stuff on Tesla Bot, and this will just evolve over time. I'll update this at least 2 times per quarter. Now, I'll still be doing the exact same quarterly forecast, the same amount of detail, the same timing as I've always done. So again, literally nothing changing with Tesla Daily from how it has ever been. The entire point here is to make things only incremental, not to take things that I've done before and just paywall them. That's not the case here. So this model and those updates will be a bonus for annual ShareLoft members. I'll be distributing the model and that video accompanying it to annual members tomorrow evening. Now, the other thing I'm really excited about, and then I promise we'll move on, is that ShareLoft is built with the intent that strong contributors should really never have to pay anything, and that is because of the premium reaction feature, where if you see an exceptional post, you can give that a premium award. That'll highlight their post so others can see that it's exceptional, and it'll also generate credits for them that can be used to offset future payments for the membership or to give premium awards to others. In addition, many of you have already actually generated credits because of your support on Patreon. These credits were calculated back on the day of the ShareLoft announcement, so before there was really any reason to support on Patreon other than just to support me. I'm trying to give back for that support. So anybody to that point that had supported is going to get at least 25% of that contribution back as ShareLoft credits. Even if you were no longer an active supporter at that point in time, still get that 25%. If you were active, you're going to get at least 45% back. It'll be 45% if you started supporting anytime from 2020 to 2022. If you started supporting in 2019, you'll get 65% back. 2018, 85% back. And if you started all the way back in 2017 and you were still active in your support, thank you. You get a free lifetime membership to ShareLoft. That will never change. Also, if at the time of the announcement you were a platinum supporter or above, there's always been this little thing that said there might be some secret yet to be determined stuff that might be cool, but maybe not. Here's one of those things. You also get a lifetime membership. Thank you. So trying to give back a little bit here to all Patreon supporters, which I've been extremely grateful of. And wherever my future takes me, I'm always going to be looking for opportunities to give back to those that have supported me. Anyway, those credits will be tied to the email that you used for Patreon, so make sure you're using that. I'm really excited to get this launched. I hope you all are too. And if nothing else, it should at least be a really good place to talk without having to worry about all the spam and bots and trolls that maybe come along YouTube comments or Twitter or wherever else. So you can sign up at shareloft.com. Hopefully everything is intuitive, but if you need any help, you can reach out to support@shareloft.com. All right, let's move into the rest of the episode then. Of course, the hot topic of conversation today is around new comments from Elon Musk on remote work at Tesla. So last night, an email leaked out from Elon Musk to his executive staff, which Elon then later commented on Twitter, seemingly confirming the validity. The subject of the email was that remote work is no longer acceptable. He wrote, quote, "Anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean minimum, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. This is less than we ask of factory workers. If there are particularly exceptional contributors for whom this is impossible, I will review and approve those exceptions directly. Moreover, the quote-unquote office must be a main Tesla office, not a remote branch office unrelated to the job duties, for example, being responsible for Fremont factory human relations, but having your office be in another state," end quote. So Elon replied to this leak on Twitter and said, quote, "They should pretend to work somewhere else," end quote. Around the same time, I'm not sure if it was before or after just because of time zones, Elon sent an email to all Tesla employees with the subject saying, "To be super clear," body reading, quote, "Everyone at Tesla is required to spend a minimum of 40 hours in the office per week. Moreover, the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo office. If you don't show up, we will assume you have resigned. The more senior you are, the more visible must be your presence. That is why I lived in the factory so much, so that those on the line could see me working alongside them. If I had not done that, Tesla would long ago have gone bankrupt. There are, of course, companies that don't require this, but when was the last time they shipped a great new product? It's been a while. Tesla has and will create and actually manufacture the most exciting and meaningful products of any company on earth. This will not happen by phoning it in. Thanks, Elon," end quote. The New York Times is also reporting that Elon sent out a very similar email to SpaceX employees. All right, so this has caused quite a stir. A lot of people have very strong opinions on this based on their own personal experience, whether that be from an employee perspective, from a management perspective, even from an investor perspective. A lot of thoughts on this, a lot of debate, and of course, plenty of research on this too, looking at employee satisfaction, employee productivity. Personally, I'd be a little hesitant to be overly conclusive based on any of that research. There are just a lot of variables in that equation. So the way that I like to think about this, and this applies to a lot of things, is to think about it in terms of a spectrum. I think we can all agree that how effective someone is with remote work is going to vary person to person based on their own characteristics. Some people might be a little bit less effective, less productive at home versus in the office, and some people might actually be more. If we can agree on that, I think we can also agree that that same sort of spectrum would apply to each individual role or job. Someone that's just doing a task on a computer all the time that really doesn't need to interact with the team, maybe something like that would be more effective at home where they don't have to waste time commuting. Whereas another role might be gleaning a lot of information by being physically present to their team, to other teams, to manufacturing, whatever else. So if we can all agree on that, then you basically end up with these quadrants where some roles, some people are more effective, some roles, some people are less effective. And ideally, a company could isolate in on those people and those roles and maximize effectiveness at an individual basis. But when you start to bring in a larger company, a larger organization, and especially to use a buzzword as of late, the more agile the company is, the more cross-functional work there is, the more difficult that optimization process could be. So yes, it would be ideal, but that's a huge burden on management. It brings in favoritism, special treatment by area, and even by individual. If we're looking at the spectrum for individuals, it allows less development of the organizational culture, less permeation of that across teams, makes it more difficult to see and understand changes in the organizational culture as those things are happening. So while it's easy to recognize the positives of maybe greater employee satisfaction, potentially greater productivity, and most of all, access to a greater pool of talent, because some people are just not going to be willing to go back into the office, there are definitely downsides as well. So again, at the end of the day, what you end up with is for each individual company, the spectrum of whether remote work is less effective or more effective, and a lot of different options to try to optimize their position on that spectrum. Tesla has clearly always put a high value on co-location, a very horizontal organizational structure, fluidity of work. An organization that values those things highly, shouldn't really be too surprising, is less receptive to remote work. Elon has had a lot of time to evaluate this and obviously feels that remote work is making the company net less effective. So instead of trying to micromanage it, he's just said, hey, it's not for us. So I get that. I can respect that decision. I don't think Elon had to be quite as harsh as he was. Certainly there are people at Tesla that are more effective with remote work and probably doesn't feel great to read that. But again, it's not just about the individual, it's about the entire organization. And as Elon highlighted a few times, also the message that it sends. So I'm sure that will lead to some resignations, plenty of other companies that will offer remote work, and again, probably makes more sense for those other companies. But thankfully, Tesla does have a large pool of potential talent to draw from. Remember, 3 million applicants last year. We've of course talked before about the Universum studies that have had SpaceX and Tesla as number 1 and 2 in terms of most attractive employers. A couple days ago though, there was a new study out of Germany with about 25,000 students surveyed, grades 8 through 13. It's an annual survey, and historically Tesla on this specific survey has not fallen in the top 10 employers, but this year jumped up into the top 5 in 5th place just behind BMW. So we'll see. I think there are valid points on both sides of the conversation here on remote work, but I think Tesla will be more than fine working through it. All right, next up, we've got a quick update on the Texas-made Model Ys. I've been hearing from more listeners that they have been emailed from Tesla too, asking them if they want to change their order to the standard range Model Y, although I guess Tesla dropped that name, so technically just the Model Y all-wheel drive, not long range. Anyway, Tesla seeking more orders for that, and apparently according to Reddit, there have now been a couple people that have been given vehicle identification numbers and estimated delivery dates on these converted orders. One person said their delivery date was June 5th to June 8th, so we may just be a few days away from seeing these 4680 Model Ys in external customers' hands. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on that. And then we've also got an update on 4680 batteries from Panasonic. The CEO of their energy division said at an annual investor event that the pilot line that they've made in Japan has made it possible to start large-scale prototype production in May. So it's a little bit unclear exactly what that means, but Panasonic also said that they have shipped samples of the 4680 to Tesla, presumably for validation, and they also said they intend to start mass production of the 4680 next fiscal year, which starts March 2023. So that's the same timeline they had mentioned previously, but seems to be tracking well towards that goal. All right, last item here is on GM. This is a pretty wild update. They have lowered their prices on the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV for the 2023 model year by about 18%. So the lowest trim Bolt will now start at $26,595, which is down from the 2022 model year base price of $32,495. So a $6,000 price decline, and similar percentage changes on the other trims as well. And remember, this is after the Bolt hasn't really even been in production for 6-9 months now? Clearly there has not been an order backlog building up during that period of time, or GM would not be dropping prices like this. So GM has dropped the price of the Bolt by about 18%. Since the start of 2021, Tesla's increased the price of the Model 3 by about 18%. So last year, the starting prices of the Bolts and the Model 3 were about $5,000 in difference. Now it's about $20,000 in difference. And their cost of production is probably similar, if not higher, for the Bolt. So not that we had a ton of confidence in GM's EV strategy in the first place, but this looks like a terrible sign for them, a really poor reflection on their EV business. I'm sure at those prices, they will do what they can to keep their production volume quite low. All right, that is it for today then, but just want to say a quick thanks again for all the support of ShareLoft thus far. I'm really excited to move this into the next stage and keep building from here. And of course, as always, thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. Also find me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast or for ShareLoft at ShareLoft Update. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday, June 2nd episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.